Hello M3, this is Teacher Bean and welcome to part 5 of your chemical reactions. For this video, you are going to learn about ionic bonding. So once again, before we start, I want you to get your periodic table and a pencil or a pen. Okay, so on our previous video, we've learned about valence electrons, and these valence electrons can be written in your Lewis dot diagram. So I want you to pause the video and you write the Lewis dot diagram for these elements: magnesium, nitrogen, chlorine, and sodium. Okay, so let's have first your magnesium. So your magnesium, it is located in your group 2 elements, so it means that it has two valence electrons. So 1, 2. Next is we have your nitrogen. So this is your element nitrogen. So this is group 5. So meaning it has 5 valence electrons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next is we have your chlorine. So chlorine belongs to the group 7. So meaning it has 7 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have your sodium, which is your group 1 element, so it has 1 valence electron. So it is very important that you understand what are valence electrons. So I want you to watch video number 3 to learn more about valence electrons. So for this video, we are going to talk about bonding. So in this bonding, it has 3 types: ionic bonding, covalent bonding, and your metallic bonding. But I will focus more on your ionic bonding for this video. So the word bond. So bond means to hold together or to go together. So for your ionic bonding, element that is metal and element that is non-metal, so they go together, wherein the electrons are being transferred from one element to another. So let me show you how does this ionic bonding work. So we will be using these first two elements, sodium and chlorine. So we know already that your sodium element symbol is Na, and the element symbol of your chlorine is Cl. Now, do you still remember the net charge? Okay, so your net charge is your proton minus electron. So we're in. So the neutral net charge of your sodium is 0 because sodium, how many elements how many electrons are there in your sodium? So there are 11 protons, right? So if there are like 11 protons, and also there are 11 electrons, so meaning its net charge is 0. How about chlorine? Chlorine has 17 protons and 17 electrons. So meaning 17 minus 17, you have a net charge of 0. So using your Lewis dot diagram, so how many valence electrons are there for your sodium? So sodium is group element 1, so it has 1 valence electron. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to write the dot here. Actually, you can write it here. You can write it here or here or here, as long as there is one dot here because this is one valence electron. And then for your chlorine, so how many valence electrons are there? So there will be 7 because chlorine belongs to 7, group number 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so remember that ionic bonding is more of transfer bond. Elements, or I mean atoms, they have this attitude that they are happy if they are full set meaning they have 8 valence electrons, or they don't have valence electrons at all. So again, atoms, they love to be full or empty. So like for example, so for our case here, chlorine has 7 valence electrons. It needs one more to become complete, meaning to have 8 valence electrons. Sodium has this only one valence electron, and it's okay for this element to give this one so that it will have like an empty valence electrons, meaning it will be a complete set also. So in your ionic bonding, sodium is metal, right? And chlorine is non-metal. So meaning it's okay for the metal group to give its one valence electron to another non-metal. So what will happen? This valence electron here will be moved to your chlorine. So it will appear to be like this. So your chlorine now has a full set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so in your new Lewis dot diagram, sodium does not have a valence electron because it is given now to your nonmetal, and wherein chlorine now is full set. This is what you call your full set or your octet set. Octet meaning 8. Octet means 8. So there are like 8 valence electrons here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're in. What will happen to the charge of your sodium here? What happened to the charge? Since your sodium gives its valence electron to chlorine, so its new charge will be this way. There will be still 11 protons. However, there will be 10 electrons. Why 10? Because this one is given to chlorine. So you'll have a positive 1 charge. In here, your chlorine has 17 protons. However, for your electrons, it gets or it receives 1 valence electron from sodium, so it will become 18. So 17 minus 18, you will have a negative 1. So therefore, the charge of your sodium will be Na positive and chlorine will be Cl negative. So how do we name it? So we name it sodium chloride. So you will learn this one in our next slide. Next, let's go to calcium. Calcium is a metal and oxygen is a non-metal. So we're in metal and non-metal. This is an ionic compound. So calcium, element symbol is Ca, oxygen is O. So calcium belongs to your group 2 elements. So it has a 2 valence electrons. 1, 2. Oxygen belongs to your group 6 element. So it will have like 6 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next. So let's try to look at first the charge. Calcium has 20 protons. So it will also have a 20 electrons. So it will have charge of 0. Oxygen has an 8 protons and it will have also 8 electrons. The charge is 0. This is before giving the electrons, before giving and sharing the electrons. So what will happen? Calcium wants to be empty and oxygen wants to be full, octet set. So calcium will give its 2 electrons to your oxygen. So it will look like this now. So it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 7 and 8. Okay, so what will be the charge of your calcium now? Calcium has 20 protons, right? However, calcium shared or give its electron to oxygen, so you will have now 18. So therefore, 20 minus 18, you have positive 2 protons. And your oxygen now, 8 protons. However, it receives 2 electrons from calcium. It will become 10 electrons. So this will become minus 2 electrons. So therefore, the charge of your calcium will be 2 positive and oxygen will be 2 negative. So its name now is calcium oxide. So for this slide, this is more of your valence electrons slash ionic charge. So remember that in your group 1 element, it has a valence electron of 1, right? However, if it gives its electron to nonmetal, it will have a positive 1 electron, I mean proton. Beryllium, it will have or group 2 elements, they will have a positive 2 charge. your nitrogen, it will have a nitrogen group will have a -3 charge, -2 charge, -1 charge, and then the 0 charge. Do you still remember your sodium and your chlorine, right? What is the charge of what is the valence electron of your sodium? So sodium has a valence electron of 1, right? And your chlorine has a valence electron of 7. So when sodium gives its electron to your chlorine, so the charge of your sodium becomes +1, right? And your chlorine, the charge will be negative or 1 negative. So if you look at it here, 1 negative and +1. How about your calcium oxide? So your calcium oxide, calcium has a valence electron of 2. Oxygen has a valence electron of 6. When calcium gives its electron to oxygen, calcium will have a +2 charge and oxygen will have a 2 negative charge. So if you look at it here, this is oxygen here, 2 negative charge. Calcium here has a +2 charge. Okay, so in your ionic bonding, as you observe here, it ends with IDE, right? Again, for ionic bonding, they always end with your IDE. Okay, so we're in your fluoride. Remember that in your ionic charge, this is 0, -1, -2, and -3. So therefore, fluorine becomes fluoride. This will be your F1 negative. And then your chlorine, this will be Cl1 negative. Bromine. Bromine is here. So your bromine here. So what do you think is the negative ion for bromine? Okay, very good. So the negative ion for bromine is also -1. Or, okay, instead of writing 1 negative here, so you can just simply write F negative, Cl negative, or Br negative. Because negative here means 1. So next we have your iodine here. Okay, iodine is still here. So we have your I1 negative, or you can just simply I negative. Oxygen is here. Oxygen. So oxygen is 2 negative. Okay, sulfide is your S2 negative. Nitride is your 3 negative. And your phosphide, we have your P3 negative. So I want you to write this one in your notebook. Okay, for your polyatomic ions, I want you to write this one in your notebook. So you cannot use the periodic table here. So because this is a combination of one element. So as you can see here, so ammonium is a combination of your 1 nitrogen and 4 hydrogen. Carbonate is a combination of your 1 carbon and 3 oxygen. So again, please write this one in your notebook, and I want you to memorize this one by heart. Now, let's check your understanding about naming the following ionic compounds. So I have here the chemical formula. So I want you to name this element. So again, ionic compounds, they always end with IDE. So I want you to pause the video and think of the correct answer. Okay, let's check your answer. So Ba here is a metal. Your sulfur here is a non-metal. So this is BaS, barium, sulfur, right? But this is ionic compound. So you will not say barium sulfur, but you will say barium sulfide. Next, we have your Mg, Br. Mg is a metal, Br is a non-metal. So Mg is what? Magnesium, right? And bromine. Again, this is ionic compound, so you will not say bromine, but bromide. So the name is magnesium bromide. Next, we have your Al and F. So Al is metal, aluminium. F is non-metal, which is your fluorine. So you will not say aluminium, fluorine, but you will say aluminum fluoride. Okay, now let's learn about writing. Again, this time you will write the compound formula. So you will be using your crisscross method. Crisscross method is like this. So from this point, it will be going to this point, and this point will go to this point. So calcium chloride. So first, you have to write the element symbol first. Calcium. Next, chloride is from the element chlorine. Now, I want you to look at the charges. What is the charge of your calcium? Calcium has a charge of, this is calcium, has a charge of 2. 2 plus. Chlorine has a charge of negative 1. Or just simply negative. So in your crisscross method, so this charge here will go to this part. So this one will go to this part. So meaning it will look like this. So Ca negative, right? And Cl 2 positive. Now, in writing your compound or chemical formula, you don't need the charges. You don't need the charges. You don't need the charges. Nah? So the final answer will look like this. CaCl2. Next, let's go with your aluminum bromide. So again, write the element symbol first. Then bromide comes from bromine. So aluminum has a positive 3 charge, and bromine has a negative charge here. So what will you do? Again, crisscross. So this charge here will go here. This charge here will go here. So it will look like this. So Al negative, then Br3 positive. Again, you don't need a charge for this one. No need. So the final answer will be AlBr3. Next is we have your aluminum phosphide. So aluminum phosphide, so you have here your Al. Phosphide is from phosphorus, so P, right? So aluminum has a positive 3 charge. Phosphorus has a negative 3 charge. So crisscross method, this one goes to this side, this one goes to this side. So you will write Al3 negative and P3 positive. Again, you don't need a charge. You don't need a charge. So the answer will look like this. Al3 P3. Now, if you look at it here, you can reduce this one. 3 divided by 3. You can have 1. So meaning, this Al3 P3 is not the simplest form because 3 is divisible by 3. So you will get a simplest form, which is 1. So the final answer for this one will be AlP. Okay, next we have your calcium phosphate. Calcium is Ca. Phosphate, remember this is not IDE. So it's not from phosphorus. But phosphate is a polyatomic ion. So wherein the polyatomic ion for phosphate is PO4 with a negative 3 charge. Now, okay, let's look at the table here. Calcium, the charge is 2 positive. So crisscross. So crisscross, so you will get a answer of Ca3 negative, then PO4 2, right? Positive. So again, you don't need a charge. Cancel this one, cancel this one. So you will get a Ca3, okay, PO4 2. Now, is this the final answer? Okay, not yet, because if you look at it here, it will become like PO42, right? So to avoid confusion, so you have to put a bracket because this one is a polyatomic ion. So this will be the final answer. Okay, I want you to pause this video and think of the correct answer. So write the formula of these ionic compounds. Okay, let's check your answer. So for your sodium oxide, so you will write it Na2O. Number 2, calcium nitrate, that will be CaNO3 2. Magnesium oxide, that will be MgO. Sodium phosphate, that will be Na3PO4. So again, so your phosphate here, your phosphate, and your nitrate here, they are your polyatomic ions. Okay, so this time we have to answer the worksheet and upload the file in your Google Classroom. So this is the end of our lesson for this video. So once again, thank you for watching and have a nice day.